We're pleased to share some of our early qualitative findings from the interviews that we have had over the past few months. We found that everyone had different stresses in their lives, which directly affected their experience of pregnancy and ability to access and afford a healthy diet. For example, people experienced pregnancy conditions like gestational diabetes, morning sickness, preeclampsia, bleeding. Women talked about having financial concerns or debt or employment issues, housing issues, looking after older children or caring for relatives. If the baby isn't grown as much as they should be, is anyone actually taking into consideration it's because the woman's not eating enough? Or they're too stressed worrying about money and stuff like that? Participants described various ways in which they did or did not receive support during pregnancy. This support was sometimes informal, so family and friends, formal through healthcare professionals and midwives, and from the voluntary or community sector or government or council services. My midwife was an amazing proactive source of support. She even wrote to the council. But not everyone felt like they had a strong support network. For example, one participant said, "I don't have a very supportive family. My family dynamic is crazy." In some instances, the services that were intended to support actually ended up being a source of difficulty. It was as though the rain ran off the support umbrella and formed puddles of additional challenges to navigate. For example, participants shared how they were impacted by systemic issues. They described systems that were largely opaque, broken, difficult to navigate with confusing eligibility criteria. Systemic issues also included accessibility of shops, public transport, and employment issues and maternity policies. Participants shared how societal expectations shaped their experience of food insecurity in pregnancy. For example, women tended to shoulder the domestic load, emotional labour, caring for older children, and often put others' needs ahead of their own. Stigma permeated the data. Women spoke about how shame, blame, judgment, guilt, fear, failure, and embarrassment literally saturated their experiences. During my pregnancy, if I was ever asked for stuff that I needed, like food or stuff for the babies, I'd just say, no, I've got everything. I felt embarrassed and ashamed to ask for help, especially from healthcare professionals, because it's more the fact of like, how do you learn to trust that person that you've known for such little time or you don't know at all? Some people had more stresses in their lives, which seemed to contribute to the extent to which they experienced food insecurity in pregnancy. This additional stress could overwhelm any support mechanisms available. And you can begin to see that the more stress, the more systemic issues, societal expectations, and stigma puddles that people face. And the bigger the puddles, the more there is to evaporate into more stress, perpetuating an endless cycle of stress and worry. Some people had more robust support in place, which helped to shield them from the downpour of stress. But there seemed to be almost a side wind of precarity that could not only knock people off their feet, but could turn the support umbrella inside out. For example, this could be losing a job, being evicted from a rental property, or unexpected costs or household bills. Everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. It was just horrendous. And it was almost as if this side wind could speed up the cycle of transpiration and precipitation, creating the perfect storm.